You are listening to Been There, Done That. We present some of the smartest people connected to the business of coffee. People who've succeeded in the tough grind of hospitality by staying ahead of the rest. So join us as we explore the secrets to their success and help you accelerate your business. This show is brought to you by the Coffee Commune, where the coffee community comes to collaborate. Enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Phil DeBella and you're listening to another episode of Been There and Done That. And today we're going to talk about one of my favourite passions, marketing. So we're going to talk all things marketing, and as we do, we bring in people that are experts in what they do. They've been there and they've done that. We don't have any 2-minute noodles on the show. We bring in people with amazing expertise, and today I welcome Natalie Shaw from Yom Connect. Natalie, good morning.
Good morning,
I'm going to
Phil.
call you Nat for short, if that's okay.
That's me.
That's
and
good.
Pretty honoured to be here, talking marketing with you.
Yes, no, I love it. Well, one of many gurus. You guys are amazing at what you do. So for the listeners' benefit, over 25 years experience in delivering marketing and media strategies for national and international companies in Australia, NZ and the USA. Tech entrepreneur and co-founder of training and marketing companies. You're skilled in the development of multi-layered marketing and media strategies that gets brands noticed and achieve results. From a marketing manager of the North Queensland Cowboys to training teams and franchisees in the Harvey Norman Group, you're a passionate and you are ensuring that clients' outcomes and customer service delivery experience is at the forefront at every time. You're a great member and partner of the Coffee Commune, and we love what you do. So welcome to the show, Nat.
Thank you so much.
So tell me about Yom Connect. Tell me, you've been there, done that. You've worked with the Cowboys. You've done stuff with Harvey Norman. The purpose for us today is I want to talk in about marketing and the importance of it and branding and strategies. But the real focus is I want people to start thinking we're getting into the hospitality is getting into the fun part of the silly season. Now is the time for people to start thinking strategies, marketing, working with companies like yourself. Now is the time to do the work so that they can get through Christmas, maxing as much possible revenue as possible. But before we get into that, tell me a bit about Yom Connect and what you guys specialize in. Yeah,
so we're very focused on performance media. So point of difference, we're a big agency experience and little agency love. So those two things together. And what that means for us is we have specialists in each of the individual areas that we deliver. So whether it's search or social or strategy or organic, we've got someone who's got 15, 20 plus years experience under their belt. So we've got other people supporting that, but from a client point of view, you can actually talk to someone who's done that, lived it, breathed it. So that's super important. And the love bit's pretty straightforward. I mean, literally, we go in and solve problems for clients. For us, it's not necessarily, how are we growing what we're doing? We're going in and going, okay, do you want an outsource model? Do you want an in-source outsource model? Do you want us just to help you get ready to do it yourself? So sometimes what we find is people don't have the foundation set up to allow paid media to work.
Yeah.
And if you go in and say, okay, I'm going to go and start running ads and, oh, goodness, they're not working, there's probably a whole range of lead-up reasons as to why that's not happened. So for us, that part there is just as important as doing great work and actually producing.
So going in and analysing where they're at, where they want to be, and starting with the outcome, which is something I talk about all the time, right? Where you're going doesn't matter if you don't know where you want to be. So, set the destination and then plan the journey. So I suppose that's the key, right? Because a lot of marketing companies just come out and say, we're going to market. And I laugh because that's my area of expertise, marketing. And marketing is the art of telling a story so emotionally connecting that people choose you. And once you understand what marketing is, then you can choose pretty quickly who's the right company and who's the wrong company, right? And kind of companies just come in and start telling you what to do. They've got to come in and understand where you want to be and the analysis. So who are some of the great clients you're working with at the moment, or some of the past that you worked with that you're happy to share?
So at the moment we work with IPA, which is Independent Pharmacies Australia. So that's 1,100 pharmacies across Australia, Chemist Discount Centre. So they're a larger group out of Melbourne and Sydney.
Yeah.
We work a lot in the auto industry. So Mazda, Redlands and Springwood.
Great.
And we just have brought West Point on as a client. So they're kind of really enjoying the auto space.
So a lot of tough industries there, a lot of competition. They've got to tell a story better than their competition to get the emotional engagement, right? So tell me some of the strategies that are working now that you see in that space. So for your current clients, what are some of the strategies and campaigns they're looking at right now that are really getting them some traction in terms of their brand profiling and customers through the door, and also customer satisfaction? Because let's set it, the purpose of marketing is not just to drive more revenue, right? The purpose of marketing can be one of many things, and one can be just brand awareness, one can be satisfying your customers, one can be obviously attracting new people. It's also staff attraction. I was giving a workshop the other day and I said, if you've got a great marketing campaign, to attract people, you'll attract better people. But so what are some of the strategies you're seeing at the moment that are working? Bringing it back to that.
I really think people need to be, and what we're seeing with our clients is actually owning something. So going out and producing the same ads and doing the same thing as everyone else, you're kind of in there with all the noise. So we kind of do blend a bit of digital with a bit of traditional in the sense of going in with a thought process around, well, okay, how do we actually activate something that's going to make you stand out differently? Because we could do ads, and we do those as well. We usually multi-layer the campaigns. So, you think about an always-on approach, that you're always there and you're being there for the things you need to be known for. But over and above that, we'll go, well, okay, let's actually do something on site. Let's own a specific day really strongly. Like, let's actually do something
Activation has become huge.
Activation, yeah. Like, it's activating with digital.
Yeah.
And I'm also a big advocate for, what's my experience that you tell me about outside? And then when I walk into your establishment or I experience you online, is that aligned with what you told me you were?
Yeah.
Because if you can't foundationally be who you're telling everyone you are, there's no point. You're wasting your money.
Yeah, I love it. And you're starting to see it it's great. The stuff that engages the most on your Instagrams and TikToks and all that is off the back of an activation. We're seeing it with vitamin companies. We're seeing it with the coffee space, with the new canned coffee. That was a company I used to own down in Melbourne, Roasting Warehouse, right, that have really made that quite famous with canning your products on site. Yep. The activation is hot. And so leading up to Christmas, right, let's come in now hospitality specific. Yep. Good segue. What are some of the key tips and that some of the listeners can be? We've got over 1,200 cafes that are part of the Commune, 1,800 members all up. What are some of the ideas that you would be sitting there, and why should they be coming to somebody like Yom Connect? Because I don't want you to give all your key nuggets away. I mean, but tease the audience on some of the stuff that you would suggest to say, hey, this is why you should be working with somebody like us at Yom Connect, or working with a marketing and a agency that knows what they're doing. Because Christmas is the time for listeners to really pounce.
I think it's about being planned and set up nice and early. We're at the point now where if you're going to do some kind of activation at Christmas, like thinking about it, getting all your shots in order, making sure everything's kind of set up, ready to go. Decide how you're going to stand out in the noise, because it's an exceedingly busy time, and it's a time where people kind of get a little bit tired. So you need to be different. I would definitely encourage you to start early. So, try and beat the noise a bit. Everything's getting earlier and earlier and earlier, and some people don't like that. But and participation, like we try and encourage people, particularly if you're talking about coffee shops and things like that, people want to experience that when they go into your environment.
So specialised beverages for Christmas, specialised desserts, menu items.
But even something fun and visual, like, creating a coffee card Christmas tree that says, if we get these all filled up, we're going to donate to charity, or something like that. Like, actually provide an environment where people can be a part of what it is. Yeah. Connection needs to be real. Whatever you're doing needs to be genuine. If you're just going, it's Christmas and here's this and I'm doing that.
Tick and flick. We don't like tick and flick.
We don't like tick and flick.
No, and that's actually some great ideas, even like that, like an live advent calendar that's massive in a store, and they can open it every day, stuff like that. But big one. So I talk about now the 6 Ps of marketing, not the 4 Ps. So the old traditional 4 Ps, place, product, promotion, and what have I missed? Product, place, price. That's it. Now I add on people and perception.
Love people.
Yep. It's the 6 Ps now, and you've heard it first on the podcast. I haven't spoken about it before. It is the 6 Ps, because you've got to make sure that you've got to get your products in, and I'd love your view on this. Get your products right, get your pricing right, get your place right. What does it look like? Whether it's theming, comfortable chairs, blah, blah, blah. Get your promotion right. But then what was missing in the traditional 4 Ps of marketing was the people aspect, because without people, the rest doesn't matter. And when I say people, what's your target segment? What drives them? What's their consumer behavior? What's their disposable income? Because that's a big thing right now, right? And I want to explore that with you at the moment soon. How do we get customers to spend more when they don't want to? And then the perception. And to me, perception is marketing, the way you're perceived. And you just said it then. Is your back end meeting the way the front end portrays to a possible customer? So they come to you because they think X. Is that X being validated when they walk into your venue? So let's unpack it. So on the people side, what key tips around the people side?
I think for me, people is just as much about the customer as it is about your team. Because if your team isn't portraying what you want your customer experience, you 100% need to understand your customer at every level, but that actually informs your decision making about who's standing behind the counter.
Yeah.
Because that's going to move and shift based on what connection.
And I love that. So let's unpack that further because in terms of getting the people right, you got to understand the customer. Now, there are different types of customers. You know, we've noticed we've done a whole body of work at the Commune, and we're about to unpack this in the new year, our new program around the different target segments. But we know that people have different disposable incomes. So people that are in their 20s and 30s, their disposable income is different to people that are in their 60s and 70s. So is your customer base then the type that's going to grab, go and move and want to pay less? Or is it the type of customer that's going to sit for 2 hours in your cafe? Because as you said, then that affects your people internally. It affects the way you set up your cafe. Do you have more comfortable chairs? Is it less seating and all the rest of it? So that's a whole body of work based on what you just said that we're going to be releasing that in 2026 for the cafes that are part of the Commune to really help understand. What else about people? What are the do's and the don'ts?
Yeah, I think there needs to be an awareness of how different people want to interact and engage with you. So, and that then lays into, I guess, the staff or the team part. I hate the word staff, from a training perspective. So I might be, I might come sit down, see the QR code and go, okay, that's the only way you're going to let me buy. I might actually want to hold a menu in my hand. I might want to have a talk to someone. I might not want to hand my phone around. Like COVID has put us in a position where in some respects, not everywhere, we've gone down one track.
Yeah, and we make too many assumptions, don't we?
We just assume because people aren't necessarily that way. One of the biggest experiences that people have every morning is going to their coffee shop and having the interaction with their human where they know their name.
And there's your key.
That's it.
I said it on radio the other week. The reason you go to a pub, for those that goes to pubs, and it's not my style, but I'll go if friends want to go to a pub and pay $15 for a product that I can buy for $2 in a bottle shop, is not for the product. I'm going for the community, the interaction, the environment. Now, coffee is the same. We all know you can make your coffee at home for $2. Not much cheaper than that, but $2 you can make your coffee, and why pay $6 or $7? You hit it on the head, Nat. It's that interaction. It's that community. So the listeners' takeaway from that is your staff understanding the customer? Is your staff marketing, which is emotionally engaging with your customer? And is your customer feeling emotionally engaged? Do they feel like they belong and that they're cared for in your venue? So for the listeners, that's an important point you made because we're seeing that in action. And that's part of then your pricing strategy. Right?
It's nearly like part of our job is to teach emotional intelligence because if we can actually teach the people who are serving our customers how they can perceive what's going on, that's it. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you still have the QR code on the bench or, somebody
give them all options.
Give them all the options.
Yeah, order at the counter, order at the table, or we'll come and take your order for you.
Because you're the customer.
Yep, and they're the best. They're the best venues that I've seen, and a lot of the good venues are doing that. They at least have two of the three.
Yes,
right. Exactly. You can either order at the counter or QR, or you can be table service or QR, so that you've got that interaction. And that's what we're finding. That's what's trending. There's a key nugget for the listeners. What's trending right now is that most people are doing all three, or at least two. But having just one form of ordering is not working for the most places. So that's something to think about. Obviously, not just now, but heading into busy time, because not everyone's happy to wait 10 minutes for a cup of coffee. But you can't also have 24 baristas on $1,000 a year pouring coffees because you'll be charging $20 a cup. So you got to find that balance. But it comes back to what we said, and that's why I said people is now a fifth P. You need to understand the people. You need to understand the customer and internally. So I'm glad. Now let's talk about the next one, perception.
Perception.
So tell me perception from your point of view.
That's everything. Like at the end of the day, we don't have a business if our perception or our external perception of our business is bad. At all costs, you're correcting, fixing and building a great rapport, and you're building a perception from everyone else of who you are from an organisation.
Yeah.
And I think understanding that, like at a values-based level, like and back to the team again, does the team understand your values? And it can be super simple. We're customer first, we be real, we communicate, whatever those things are. If that's really foundation, because you're not the person making that cup of coffee, you're not the person serving that person. So how do you actually embed that? That then builds the perception because I mean, it's the gold.
Yeah, it is. It is, and because that's why I also talk about the 6 Ps, because perception brings it all together. Perception is your brand word, right? So how people perceive you is whether they'll choose to engage or not. Then, if your quality matches the perception, they'll keep coming back, and that's your consistency. So it is perception first, quality second, consistency third. And I said it works as a customer cycle journey for me, and I've talked about that for years. They'll buy the first product or they'll go on the first date with somebody on perception. If the quality matches the perception, they'll go on another date. If it doesn't, they're out of there very quickly, right? And they'll keep consistently going out on a date if the perception and the quality match, right?
Until it changes.
Until it changes, and then it's sayonara.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's not just to do with products and services. It's got to do with dating and relationships and friendships and the whole lot, right? It really is a very easy way to explain an ecosystem on how it works. All right, now let's switch gears a bit. AI, right? AI, I would say 98% of people know AI. 99% have no idea how to use it, but they all think they're experts. It's a bit like cooking, because everybody cooks something, whether it's toast and Vegemite or crackers and cheese. They think that they can cook anything, right? There's AI, then there's AI. AI has been around for a long time and many years, right? And we're talking many decades. But the phenomenon of AI now, how are you guys, 2 parts to this question, how are you guys adopting AI, right? And how should the hospitality industry, or any business, but hospitality specific to our audience, adopt AI?
So lots of stories to tell there.
Yeah. Specifically too, what you guys are doing a lot of work in this space too. So tell us about that.
I will. So I'll start with the team. It's been an interesting journey in its team and client side, because I guess in this environment right now, we have to be using AI in some form. And it's balancing, I guess, the encouragement of the team using AI and also the clients understanding how we're using AI and being okay with it. Because if they're paying for a service, they need to go, well, I just don't want you chucking all this in AI and spitting it back out at me. And I'll tell you kind of a story of it. We were doing some work, and we had written out this work and then kind of got to a point, spoke to the client. They were like, oh, we really want it to look like this. And we're like, okay, right. Okay, I'm going to chuck this into some AIs and ask the AI some different questions. So had actually, interviewed the person, written the piece of work, chucked it in AI, then took the information from AI and pieced it all together, sent it back to the client, absolutely loved it. Then they actually found out that we had used AI. They put it through an AI kind of learner thing, and they were a little bit taken aback by that. And once I explained the process we went through,
I get it.
Because it's okay to use AI as long as you're still adding.
You should be using AI.
You should be using AI as long as you're adding your thought process to it, and you're making
your creativity,
and the questions you're asking me are coming from your experience and your thought process. You haven't kind of created these with an AI tool. So I think it's just like finding where it fits and where it's okay, and where our line is. Can this provide ideas? Can it make things quicker? Can it make it smoother? But not taking away the creative integrity that sits below everything we do.
Yeah. And what I love is that you actually check with the customer, which is great, is to say, look, we use AI as an efficiency tool, to paraphrase, we use it as an efficiency tool and a productivity tool to add value. Are you okay with that? And then once the customer gives you the green light, I mean, the way we use it, that is very similar. I've got 2 people in my marketing team. One is videographer and photographer. The other person is a graphic design specialist with social media. And I've said to them, your jobs will be here now. They'll be here in 3 years' time. I won't be changing those seats of the bus. I said, but what I am doing is bringing an AI expert in to help you be more efficient, more productive. And what we're getting now is we're getting 50, 55 hours worth of work instead of 35 hours of being here. So they show up for 35, but they're producing 50, 55 hours worth of work. We've used AI as an accelerator for efficiency and productivity. We still get their creative geniuses. We still, Dan still sits there and cuts up the videos and looks at them and to the nth degree and make sure they're right. But then he uses AI to double check it or to cut out, do a first cut, and he finalizes it and does it quicker, which means he can process more marketing jobs that come through from all the other team members in the organization. So, but we don't use AI photographs, they're taken by Dan. We don't use AI videos, the videos are done by Dan. And that's something important for the listeners, because the AI generated photos and all the rest of it, they're just, where do we pull the line, right? And I think if you keep it real, and I'd like your opinion on this, if people keep it real, that you will stand out in a crowd by being traditional, because you haven't gone too far to the new normal. You'll actually stand out more. Would you agree?
Yeah. I think there's kind of a blend to that. So I 100% agree. I think native content 100% needs to be native content.
Okay, yeah. Explain
and
that with native.
That's just real content.
Okay.
That's us taking our own video, creating that. But I have actually seen some really good, well thought out use of AI in creative.
Okay, talk us through it.
Yeah, it needs to not just be, I've taken this video and I've thrown it in and it's come out the other side. Like, well thought out means I've storyboarded this out, layered in some other elements from another piece of the marketing, and I've included it in. And you can actually get a really good result that looks professional, that doesn't look AI, but is thought out.
And it is creative and unique.
It is creative and unique.
Yeah.
So, but that needs to happen. And, and I know in these circumstances, people have actually thought through it. They've done the storyboard. So that's where I think AI will work, but you still need to have the smarts behind it.
Yeah.
It's definitely not at the stage where it's, okay, I'm just going to
So then
chuck it out there.
what's fair to say then, that's not a skill. That's a skill set that professionals like you and your team do.
Yes.
That's not a skill set that every Joe Blow that can download ChatGPT can do. Yeah, and the strategy part. So the template still hasn't changed, right? The outcome is telling an emotionally engaging story. How you go about it is still the same, but AI is an extra tool that helps build the efficiency and productivity.
It's literally a tool. If you think about, you've got iStock, you can go and get stock photos if you haven't been able to take your own photo. Your own photo is always going to be the best, but if you can't use iStock, if not, okay, you can go and use AI if you haven't got all of those tools.
Now tell me, what else are you doing around AI in the business? You got some exciting projects.
Very exciting. So we're doing voice-based AI, and we started this adventure. We're a little bit entrepreneurial at heart. So we started this adventure about 9 or 10 months ago, and we actually went out, used another provider. We weren't kind of happy with the quality. We basically are now building voice-based AI in-house ourselves with the technical layer. All of the 3 kind of companies that I'm involved in all have a technical layer, so we've got beautiful expertise there. But basically, it is voice-based inbound and outbound. So if I can give you an example, a hospitality example, we're in a fairly significant club here in Brisbane at the moment. They had 2 people on their reception, and they were really busy answering the phone all the time and struggling to get to the front-facing customers that were walking up, to be served, so to speak. So now, and then they're short of staff, as many people in the hospitality industry are. They've been able to take one of those people from the front counter and put them in another job. So that's great. That's helped with their staffing. The AI does all of the front-facing calls, and the second person is now freed up to actually talk to customers face-to-face. So, that's all inbound, handling inbound calls.
So when you ring this club, the club is answered by an AI.
Answered by AI.
And the programming and all the rest of it's all, you would know the difference?
It's incredible. Like, it really, truly is incredible, the result.
And again, efficiency and productivity too. So you write the content for what gets spoken about and obviously how to answer the questions and all the rest of it. A
lot of work goes into that. It's not a tap. There's a lot of really, what would I call it, generic out-of-the-box solutions out there.
Yeah.
We've chosen that's not the path we're on. So, it'll take a good month to 6 weeks to actually build something really solid and strong that can actually interact and understand.
Well, because every business has got different needs, right? Like I was talking to somebody in the One Life Club the other day, and they built something similar in-house, and they said, but our business was easy. Every phone call is 1 of 10 questions.
Yeah.
And so they were able to go, it's never been outside of 1 of 10 questions. So we've got the answers to the 10 questions and direct them. Done. Whereas some businesses could be completely different and unique and all the rest of it. So there is tools out there that can help people. So if you're interested in that, voice AI, obviously get a hold of Nat and her team at Yom Connect. All the details will be on the link in the notes of the show, because that sort of stuff is the stuff that's exciting. That's the efficiency, productivity that I was talking about. And you give people more meaningful jobs. Now, one person, instead of just being on a phone there, is actually interacting with people, emotionally engaging, welcoming them personally to the club and showing them around. Another person has been obviously promoted into another role. I think that's fantastic. That's a great example of AI in our space, in not just hospitality, but in general. But it's also a great case in the marketing realm, which is about emotional engagement. Take somebody off a mundane, day-to-day job, replace it with an AI tool, and give them a meaningful marketing job, which is emotionally engaging. Because people don't understand that marketing actually starts at the front door. Right? It starts before they get to the front door, right? That's your perception. But once they get to your front door, are you easy to access? Are you easy to park? Are you easy to get to? Is the place clean and hygienic? Right? Is there somebody there to welcome me? Do they keep me waiting? Are they smiling? Are they not? And this is even before they've even touched a product or a service or seen your menu or seen your price. So these are the things we've got to get right. And people they go, oh, but that's not marketing. Of course it's marketing. right?
100%, it's the free stuff.
That's exactly right. It's the stuff
Who doesn't love free marketing?
That's exactly right. All right, tell us. So Christmas, what would you be doing if you owned a cafe right now? Use your creative brain. I know you like to be entrepreneurial and creative. Let's say within budgets, because people are struggling. Obviously, this industry is doing it tough. They're lucky to be making 5% profit. Wages are now 45% of turnover. It's just crazy times for hospitality, right? 1 in 10 closed last year. So what we want to do and spend the next 15 minutes or so is let's give the listeners some free marketing tips between the two of us on how they can go about it. So obviously, the first starting point, listeners, is the 6 Ps. Really hone in and do an assessment on your 6 Ps. So making sure you've got all of them right. Is your perception, your people, your price, your products, your place, your promotions all in line and playing in harmony with each other. So between the two of us, let's share some things. Well, if you owned a cafe right now, what's some of the cool things you'd be thinking about?
My lead would be emotional.
Yes.
So whatever you're doing, how do we create an emotional connection with your customer? So back to understanding that customer, what does that look like? Because literally people are going to be expecting something that's Christmas related. How are they actually going to perceive that in your environment? So whether that is product and I don't know, I'm in two minds about the quirky Christmas kind of product, because at the end of the day, I do think people come to get their coffee to enjoy that. And when we're talking about kind of drinks.
If you do that, don't lose your base, right?
Don't lose your base. It's okay, but don't let it overwhelm what you're doing. I think there's an opportunity on the food side, absolutely. And again, don't overwhelm with that, but make it kind of relevant to people so that when they're coming in, they're not kind of going, well, it's not changing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I would probably lead more with the environment. So if you think about what people are wearing, if you think about how they're interacting,
so spend more time on the peripherals, the aesthetics.
Because people aren't going to, if people don't eat Christmas cake, they're not going to suddenly necessarily come
a good
into
point.
a cafe and say, I want Christmas
But if you're
cake.
playing Christmas carols, you've got the place dressed up nice, you've got your Advent big calendar or your Christmas tree that looks different to somebody else. No, I love it. I think that's a good point.
And the Christmas cake bit could be, a tiny little thing that goes with the coffee for the last 2 weeks before Christmas.
Yeah.
That's a bit more giveaway and love, rather than you could invest a lot of money in coming up with all these products, creating all these products, and it might kind of flop.
Yeah, and it costs a lot of money to
do that, and time. So, I think environment's a really cost-effective way to do it. And then whatever you're doing, make sure that comes through on your social media. So, basically doing the build-up, doing the posting, explaining, getting people invested in it.
Yeah.
And, you can put a little bit of money behind that. A lot of people don't kind of realise with organic social that you can be posting to your heart's content, but if you're not putting any money behind it, Mark Zuckerberg's out there to make money. You get seen when you put, it doesn't have to be a lot, but even a small amount.
Let's unpack that, because you made a good point. Everyone's on social media now, and people don't understand that it's all about algorithms and they control. Like, the other day I was saying, I haven't heard from such and such for a while on their socials. Have they defriended me? And I went on there and no, it's just not showing me because of the algorithm. So through your experience, let's talk, because everyone's doing social media. I think they're marketing experts now, right? Or they're on Instagram, so they're marketing. And I say, let's put it straight. They're all channels. That's what they are. So Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, they're all marketing channels. They are a vehicle to deliver your message. So first step is get your message. Well, first step is know your outcome. Second message, and you said that before, start with the outcome, know your people, right? And then know the vehicle that you're going to use to tell that emotionally engaging story, because, they're not all the same. LinkedIn is not the same audience as Facebook, but yet I still see people I just bought a new car on LinkedIn. No one gives a shit unless you relate that back to, big shout out to this professional company who their sales team went above and beyond. And what I learned from their sales team was blah, 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 blah. And then you can still put a picture of your car if you want to show off, but you got to relate the message to the audience. Talk us through some of your expertise in the do's and the don'ts of socials.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for you to freestyle it. You don't have to mention brands and companies, but what have people done well and why, and what have they done wrong and why, and what platforms have they got it wrong on? I mean, I just shared that one there about the brand new car on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I mean, as an example, I think it's like literally you can have the same story, you've just got to tell it a different way.
Correct.
So as an example, one of our auto clients, amazing, they had become dealer of the year, so that had happened in the time that we'd been working for them. We took a whole range of photos, but I think Matt, who's our client lead for that and brought the business in one of them, he was giving the owner a kiss. We might use that on one channel, but not on the other channel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the wording and how we're telling the story. So much more corporate on LinkedIn, obviously, but as you said, just repurposing exactly the same content and also choosing what you want to own. if you've only got so much time and so much capacity, don't try and be everything to everyone, because you'll it's like being too thin on the ground. You'll fail miserably and you'll be nothing. Some of the clients who come in and go, hey, our client base is on LinkedIn, and we're like, well, okay, let's just dial back everything on the other channels and let's dial up LinkedIn and make sure it's relevant, because there's nothing more boring than people just posting stuff for posting's sake.
Yeah,
what's the story? Yeah, it is just scroll. Like, do less, but do it on a consistent basis. So if you say, I can only do 2 posts a month, but do 2 posts a month every month. And back to the algorithm likes consistency. So it doesn't like it when you post 1 month, don't post for 3 months, and then post 4 times in 1 month. So it's actually...
Okay, it's a good tip. So be consistent.
Be consistent. Whatever you do, it likes you being consistent. Come up with a budget, and literally a budget could be $100, it could be $50 a month. It can be small.
So if you just say, if I put, I want to market, a Christmas event. If I was to just freestyle it with no money versus putting $100 for that for the month, what's the difference? 1,000 times?
Yeah.
Be 1,000 times.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And the other thing, and it depends, again, the other bit, it depends on engagement. So you want to amplify posts that people are interested in. So rather than just going, I'm choosing that post, everyone's going to like that because you actually think you know what people like.
Yeah, which happens a lot.
And if you just put money behind it, that's not the right way to do it. You actually want to get it out there. You want to see, of all your posts, which ones are people actually interested in. That's the one you want to put money behind. So give it a few days, make it engaging. At
the end of the day, it's got to land. It's got to stick.
It's got to land. Otherwise, you're putting your money behind the wrong horse.
And the one I love, and I love your opinion on this, is I've got 1 million followers. I saw without mentioning brands and names, but I saw a person who had 1 million followers, and I saw a person who had 130,000 followers, and they were both given the same product to go and promote, and the one with the 130 outsold 5 to 1. And the person didn't understand why. And when I had a look at it, the person with 130 understood why, but the one with the 1 million didn't, was a bit naive. And it's simple. It's a female product. You've got males following you for whatever reason. And they're not following you because they're listening to what you have to say, read between the lines. So therefore, when you're out there trying to sell a product, they're not actually interested in you and your product. Now, again, I'm not being derogatory. I'm just setting a very clear picture that they both would have been paid the same money.
Yeah.
But one delivered.
That one was paid more.
Probably, but one was because of the followers. So be very careful out there, because I get asked all the time, would you use an influencer to push a product? I said, I'd only use an influencer that aligns with your values, has the right demographic and geographics of the people you need. If they're an influencer in Norway and you're trying to push a cafe in Brisbane, you got Buckley's and none. Extreme example, but totally. It's just like this girl. If you've got 98% of males following you because you look amazing, and you're trying to push a female product, it's not going to happen. So make sure that the values align. Make sure that the demographic geographics align with the influencers. You would see that as well, right?
Absolutely. And even, for example, you could be an Australian influencer, but 50% of your following might be overseas. And that's fine, but just understand that 50% of the following is overseas when you make your decision about what you're going to pay. And then the other part is engagement. So you nailed it with the person that had 130,000 followers, I would say would have had a lot higher engagement, or the type of engagement you wanted, from the right people. Because at the end of the day, organic social media is measured by engagement. So it's not necessarily how many followers, it's actually how many followers are actually interested in engaging in your content. That's actually what you want to achieve. Because if you're a coffee shop and you've only got 500 potential customers who are going to come through in any given month, as an example, those people will engage with you. Say 200 to 250 of those are actually actively engaged with you and interested in you. That's better than having, thousands of followers and no one's really interested and not even going to get served your content. Because the more they engage in the content, the more they'll actually get served your content.
So that's a key takeaway there is making sure that it's about, you're measuring the engagement and you know what the engagement's about, not how many followers people have got. And then in some platforms, like our app at the Commune, I'm not getting many likes. It's not a Facebook. Everyone's seeing it because they go to the information highway that we call it, and they will read it. But it's not one of those tools to go and like or love or the comment or whatever. It's an engagement tool. It's not a scroll and appreciate or scroll and be nosy. It's, hey, what's going on in the industry? Oh, this is the HR law I need to know. Or this is, hey, a new marketing tip. Or this is a distribution company's brought out a new truck to deliver cold storage or whatever it is, right? it's something that we say to people is because they do, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show to really help people demystify the concept, because everyone thinks they're a marketer, everyone thinks they understand, or you got the worst marketing, and I want your take on this. People get rid of the marketing spend. And, a good friend of mine, Don May, that used to be the CEO of Domino's, always said, you don't save your way out of trouble. You got to spend your way, meaning you've got to generate revenue. And it doesn't mean you go out there frivolously spend money, but you've got to create strategies that will help you bring more revenue in, not look at the spreadsheet and look at how you're going to save costs. So give me your opinion on that, because are you seeing that? Is that a trend? People are cutting marketing budgets, marketing costs at a time they should be ramping it up?
100%. I think it's an easy cut. People go, I've already got my customer base. It's one of the simplest cuts, but probably one of the worst cuts.
Yeah, it's a good point, isn't it?
It's literally people go, okay, well, if I get rid of staff, that's going to have that impact. I'm already in this lease. I can't move that. It's a very thin line on most businesses. Your cost of sale is one high expense. Your people are your other high expense. And then you've got this little bit in the middle that you can't really control too much. Most people are running pretty lean these days. So then they go, okay, I'll get rid of the marketing. So And it is a mental thing. And even for us, it's literally like, okay, right, we've got to keep doing things differently to get our word out there. And some of those things are free. Like today, I'm getting our message out there through you, through your generosity of having us here. But other things, it's like, well, no, let's actually
it's a good point you make, and because people need to know the value and need to know what they know. And sometimes, and that's why we do shows like this. We bring on experts like yourself to say, talk us through what you do and examples, and so the listeners can listen and go, hey, I need to get a marketing company. I need to bring out, to Yom Connect and go, guys, what can you do with me? Because, I always say accountants make bad business bosses, right? Because they keep traditional accountants, not strategic accountants, but accountants that look at numbers and go, right, cut this, cut that, cut that. But it's not what it costs you, it's what it generates. Exactly. So if I'm spending $1,000 a week with Yom, but you're generating me $5,000 a week, well, that's success, right? I
always say, what's the cost of not doing it?
Yeah.
So we've had clients like that as well, and it was really interesting because if you have a seasonal environment that you're playing in, and people are actually going to go, well, okay, I'm not going to advertise during that seasonal environment. All my competitors are. What's the cost of not being there? What's the cost of not being at the table? That's a really important question to ask.
I like that. So tell me, if you could change anything in your industry, what would it be?
We find that a lot of people out there aren't doing the right thing by people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really easy to go in and say, hey, we'll put your ads up, we'll do this, but we do a thing called under the hood, where we go in and we don't charge people for it. We kind of have a look under the hood and help give them some information about what's going on. Because sometimes they come to us and go, this is not working. I don't understand why. And we'll go, okay, we'll have a look. This is why. You don't have any tracking set up on your website. Your leads aren't coming through to a proper funnel and they're not being dealt with. Yeah. Just if you're out there looking to get someone to help you, make sure that, and a lot of people don't know. That's the problem with digital, right? People actually.
That's why I love third-party referrals, because somebody that's used you and you've done the work for them, you refer them, and it gets rid of 90% of the ambiguity. Yeah. Because I say there's a lot of bullshit marketers out there.
A lot of bullshit.
And there's a lot of good people that bullshit really well.
You said it better. There's a lot of bullshit.
Oh, there is. I see it all the time. Everyone's an expert, and that's great. It's like financial advisors. Oh, I'm the best. How much money have you made for yourself? Because if you can't make yourself money, hey, I can call myself a marketer because I've built, scaled and exited businesses, not once, but many times. And I've done it all, with my team, obviously, but I've led that. So I can sit there and say, well, I can speak on scaling. I can speak on startup. I can speak on marketing, because I lead my marketing teams, right? Because if I haven't done it, I would never say it, exactly. And I don't promise what I can't deliver. And that's something that people need to be aware of, because everyone's an expert. And I always say social media has allowed people to speak freely for free.
Yeah. Anyone.
That's right.
Be an expert.
Speak freely for free, and you just go, that's dangerous territory. So, one of the big ones I have, and I know because I know a lot of your clients are part of our community as well, is when people tell you, and as they have done tell us about the work you've done with them. And you've done some pretty cool projects over the years, and you've worked with some pretty tough people over the years that expect a lot. Without mentioning names, that you've obviously gotten results for, and I mean, so I appreciate you having you on the show and the rest of it. How website? What's your website? They'll put this all up on
yomconnect.com.
Yomconnect.com. And maybe get a hold of the guys and talk about the under the hood. Let them come under your hood and see what's going on in your business and all the rest of it. But the worst thing for any listeners to do is to sit there and do nothing.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that we do with this show. So hopefully when you're listening to this, you're inspired to take action, to do something. And I always say, and I want to finish on this, is that the person who tells the better story always wins. I mean, Red Bull's one of my classics. You've probably heard me in my speaking gigs where I go, can anyone really tell me Red Bull tastes great? Because it tastes like shit, right? And it maybe tastes a little bit better when you put some vodka in it, but it tastes like crap. But you look at the brand. You know why? Because it emotionally connects. It tells a great story. It tells its story through Formula One. It tells a story through extreme sports. It tells a story that is louder and bolder than its competition, right? I love the Ferrari and Lamborghini one, right? I love both cars.
Yeah.
But,
Yes.
Ferrari's a lot more recognised from a wider age group. Lamborghini's more recognised and desired by the younger age group. It's quite funny, right? Both prestige, both top in class, both very similar, but yet the branding and the marketing is completely different, right? And Ferrari's always more expensive than a Lamborghini.
You think about water these days.
Here we go.
Like, yeah.
Yep.
There's one, like you can create canned water and be $1 billion company. So the world's kind of changing.
It has, and that's all on the back of brand, and brand is on the back of storytelling, which is what marketing is.
Exactly.
Any other brands that really stand out for you?
Oh, gosh, I just like people who do things that are a bit out of the box.
Okay. So you like non-traditional, more creative brands?
Non-traditional, more creative. I think one of the biggest things, and we think about some of the people we were talking about before, evolving brands to make sure that they're growing up with the environment around them. So that's actually a challenge. Like a lot of traditional brands, and let's even say Red Bull, historically, like has to continue to evolve. And Red Bull's done that in a whole heap of ways.
Well, they've had
people
to, right?
jumping off cliffs and people doing extreme sports. So it's become known for something, but it's evolved with its audience.
Yeah.
Because if you actually stay stagnant and you don't move on, then you're literally in a situation where your audience is going to run out. It's going to get old. Like
that's why, like, iconic brand Louis Vuitton.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still in the top 10 richest people in the world, right? Like, at a time where everyone's got low disposable income.
Yeah.
But it emotionally engages. It tells an emotional, engaging story. And they're not a company that you would say spend millions and millions on traditional ads. And it's not like they just spend ads on social media. Theirs is all word of mouth, right? Theirs is all prestige and how it makes you feel and aspirational and how it makes you connect. But they've got a certain style about them that works, and theirs isn't. Because remember, in marketing days, it's, you've got to spend 10% of your budget. And it's just like, no, you don't.
No.
You've got to tell the right story to the right audience that emotionally connects, as you've said so beautifully.
Well, look at Giorgio Armani. He will that will live on, that brand as a person. He will live on through everything because of who he built himself as a human, as his place in the world, etc. Like, that's an example of building a brand. Great
story, isn't it? Great story. And 91. What a weapon.
Yeah, exactly.
What a weapon. Well, Nat, thank you for being on the show.
No problem.
Thanks for sharing your wisdom, your knowledge. If you want to get a hold of Nat at Yom Connect, and I suggest you do, to see what marketing they can do for you guys and give you some tips and tricks and help you accelerate your potential, then please do. Until next time, you've been listening to Phil DeBello. This has been There, Done That, where we bring amazing people to the show to help share their expertise to help you accelerate your potential. Well done.
Thank you.
That's a wrap for today. Keep listening for more episodes of Been There and Done That. The Coffee Commune is here to help accelerate your potential. We want you to be better tomorrow than today. Until next time, you've been listening to Phil DeBello. I'm the founder and managing director of the Coffee Commune, a place where the coffee community comes to collaborate.